Hello, all. Welcome to the next episode. And this episode is called Trailblazing FinTech with Kafira Kang's Journey of Innovation and Impact. Hello, Kafira. Can you please walk us through your career journey and how it has led to you to become a leader in digital innovation and FinTech?
Okay, thank you. First of all, Tim, I would like to extend my gratitude for doing this for the community. I think this forum kind of communication can really benefit everyone, and we need the contributor like Tim more. So thank you. Thank you for doing this. So yeah, hi everyone. My name is Kafira. I am a practitioner, an advisor, as well as an entrepreneur. So I cut my teeth as a delivery leader, a consultant for large consultancy firms, IBM, ThoughtWorks, for several years. And 5 years ago, I started my entrepreneur journey. I started working independently as an independent consultant and co-founded the boutique consultancy, FinServe Expert, with my business partners. The reason we did that, actually, there was a trigger that became the pivot of my career. I had a chance back to 2019. I had a chance to lead the delivery of a virtual bank in Hong Kong. It named WeLab. So that was the first chance I actually get to witness the transformative power of technology. So think about that. Virtual banking is a concept, and it's an amazing concept that we could not have maybe a decade ago. Thanks for the internet and the technology. So such innovative business model could only happen because of technology. So since then, I got very inspired and I decided to commit myself into this and to put myself at the forefront of the innovation. Then since then, I work independently as a consultant. During that journey, I acted as a CTO for UK-based FinTech, performed as a CPO for a Singapore-based sustainability solution, and designed their early stage adoption approach. So I feel very fortunate because all these success stories from my clients made my own career. So my latest project was an advisory project that I got invited by the Central Bank of Thailand as one of their innovative consultants, especially in FinTech innovation, as part of their open banking implementation framework advisory. So that's a little bit about me and my background.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. So launching WeLab as Hong Kong's first fully licensed virtual bank must have had its hurdles. Can you share some insights into this process?
Yes, thank you for the question. I think this is a really good question because hurdles can only be meaningful if we learn something from it. And you know what, surprisingly, all the hurdles that we had, none of them were technical because in that equation, technical issues and tech problems were the most straightforward and easy one to tackle. The more hurdles come from just because the business model is so new, it's unprecedented.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of scenario that we didn't have previous case to take a reference from. So for example, if we were making some transaction on a mobile app from a bank, from a conventional bank, right? When we run into an unhappy path, something unexpected happens, we could, the soft cushion, the last layer as the safe cushion could always be come to our branch and speak to one of our experts.
Sure.
That was impossible for a virtual bank.
Oh no,
Right?
completely. Yeah.
So so we just take that as example, which means that a lot of underneath enablers in terms of the operating process, the
Yes.
operating models, capabilities, has to be rethought and has to be altered. That's one challenge. The other challenge is that, yes, we should innovate the way we operate, but then how we strike the balance between that and the compliance. Because the compliance was very well established for the conventional banking model. But we were very fortunate. The Hong Kong Monetary Authority was very supportive.
Right.
And so because during that time, they actually adapt into a new role that the era demands them to be. So instead of being the one that's supervising and policing everything, sets restrictions, they were quite open and they would like to have a discussion with us so we can explore, how to strike the balance among different elements. So my insight from that is really about, when we do a digital innovation, the technology and the business has to go hand in hand. And also with the change of the role of regulator, this is really the advantage that all the innovators has to take, because now the regulators are our ally. They will support us in this journey.
Wow. Okay. Thank you so much for that. So what strategies contributed to the success of your multi-award winning FinTech prototype?
Oh, you meant the prototype that I built for Finexos.
Yes.
Right. So yeah, okay. Just a little bit context for the audience.
Sure.
So the prototype was when I mentioned that I served as a CTO for 3 years for a UK-based fintech. So initially, before we had a full-fledged MVP, prototyping is actually a go-to strategy for a startup to validate their ideas and test out their assumptions. So that's the prototype that we were talking about. And the prototype won multiple financial inclusion hackathon. So, and also I like your question because I think prototyping strategy for fintech startups are very important, because it's actually your dynamic pitch deck. It helps you to get your story across to the early adopters, investors, and also it helps you to consolidate your idea and help you to test it out, right? So my strategy in terms of prototyping, especially for startups, I think the key will be the designer has to have a very different mindset from the one when we build a product. Yeah. Because let me elaborate. So building a product is actually to bring to life a set of capability so that you can achieve a set of defined and verified goals, or use that set of capability to tackle an issue or a problem that's already defined, accepted by the market, acknowledged by the market. However, prototyping is to assume that you've already had that set of capability. Sure. And mimic how that capability work, and then to build an argument around your assertion that that capability match the solution, or say the problem that I am going to tackle. So because the different purpose of the different thing, the design approach should be entirely different. A lot of things that we could normally include in a product, or say we need to put a lot of effort around when designing, might not be necessary for a prototype.
Sure.
Let me give a specific example so that I can elaborate my idea more. So when we build a product, what we think is that, okay, how we engage with the customer step by step, then they would design a very elaborate user journey, right? But prototype, especially now in FinTech context, a lot of solution now tend to be embedded solution. They can integrate into existing journey in a non-disruptive way, right? So which means they might not even have a front end. Then starting thinking about the journey, which is the unknown after your launch, might be not the worst effort for you to spend at the moment. Instead, maybe just illustrate a dashboard and use that dashboard to help you to visualize, where do you picture yourself in the ecosystem, and how do you plan to engage with different parties in this ecosystem, and what are the channels that you can engage with your tech partners, like ecosystem, other service providers if you are using other capability, and then how the value actually get delivered into the customer. And it does not have to be complicated. One static dashboard can do the job. I've seen a very talented designer who did that just using one dashboard, completely static.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you for that. So Fiola aims to assist those in financial vulnerability. How does this AI and ML-powered risk engine change the approach to lending and risk management?
Yeah. So after that prototype got launched, we started developing the MVP. So the MVP got widely acknowledged, thankfully, by the lending partners, just because they find it's revolutionary, not because of the technology, but it really changed the way they approach and the way they manage the risk. And actually, the changing of the approach, I would say, is the secondary. The first is about mindset change. So the conventional way for our lending partners or all operators that's operating credit service, we tend to evaluate the probability of the loan default, or say the performance of a loan. We associate a performance of a loan to the rank of the risk of a customer, right? So in other words, is that if a customer is a high-risk customer, I would probably lend to him with a higher interest rate. That's a very conventional way of operating.
Yes.
But what Fiola actually changed in this mindset is that it helped lender to realize that, okay, it's more about the suitability between the applicant's profile and a specific loan product. There is no high risk or low risk individual. It's just the suitability. So the Fiola model considers it is vital to tackle this issue by evaluating two elements separately. One is the human behavior.
Yes.
The other is the product suitability, right? So what do I mean by human behavior? So unlike the financial situations, which is completely out of our control, right? The inflation rates, the everything, the energy, the utility. So yeah, that's out of our control. But what's really within the remit of our control is that how do we cope with these unexpected financial situations, and how resilient I am, how good that I can manage my cash, right? So these patterns of behavior in Fiola engine we translate this level of capability into a score. We call it behavior score or capability score. So that is a score. But however, I said there are two elements. The capability score alone cannot yet predict loan defaulting. Why?
Sure.
Because regardless how great I can manage my money, if I get a loan that with the high interest rate that out of my affordability, beyond my affordability, I could still default. So in that case, the second element came into play. So Fiola then do affordability analysis,
Right.
see if the loan price fits my financial sense.
Sure.
Then combine these two elements, then return a combined rating. It is this combined rating that Fiola returns to the lenders to help them to make the credit decisioning. And another thing worth mentioning is that after our pilots, almost all the lenders spontaneously came to realize that when the capability falls into a healthy range, right, providing loan products with a lower interest rates
Sure.
can actually reduce the probability of defaults, right? Because that's a very straightforward mathematical problem. Yeah. So, and this is exactly the way that and this is exact way that we want to help our lenders, and that's how we transform the way they think and they operate.
Fantastic. That's really good. So how did you navigate the regulatory landscape to successfully launch a FinTech MVP into the UK's FCA's sandbox?
Yes. So launching Fiola, the solution we were talking about earlier, it's actually I took some lessons from my experience launching the virtual bank in Hong Kong.
Sure.
So one thing that I want to put out there is that to launching something into the markets, it is something that everyone has to think since day one, since you're prototyping, because innovation cannot happen in a vacuum. So we thought about how to launch it and how to meet all the compliance requirements since we started brainstorming the business model. So then the result were what comes to the end is that, first of all, the way Finaxos designs business model is that it is Finaxos' position itself in the ecosystem as a service provider for lenders, which means the borrower and the lender's relationship remain unchanged, right? So that's from the business model wise. The other from the architecting wise, your architecture should reflect your business model, right?
Sure.
So starting from day one, we embrace a very elastic open architecture that allows the solution become very flexibly pluggable, and it can make use of heterogeneous data source. It is integration partner agnostic.
Sure.
So because we had that mindset in day one, so when we launch it, the solution didn't change the existing way how the lender engaging with their borrower. It didn't change the application user journey. And also because Finaxos only speak to the lender will use the combined rating Fiola returns as the reference instead of, okay, this is our advisory for you how to make loan decision. So it didn't change anything, which means we are completely regulatory compliant. So yeah, we did take some serious thinking since day one, and we benefit from that early stage thinking.
Cool. Thank you so much for that. So in advising on Thailand's open banking implementation, what innovative solutions did you propose to overcome its challenges?
Well, so here I want to probably give some more background of my role in that project, if that's okay. So because the overall program is about supporting the open banking framework, a regulatory framework in the kingdom. And my role was innovator advisor. So the way that I worked is that I paired with the public policy expert and I reviewed their policy framework, tested out as an innovator.
Sure.
So to make sure that their deep insight can really map into something practical and implementable. So we can consider that I represent an innovator who is going to adopt this framework as a QA for that framework. That was my role. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. So during the pandemic, you developed a certified health passport solution. How did you balance technological innovation with privacy concerns?
Well, that's also a very interesting story behind. So yeah, so during that innovation happened during the pandemic. The observation that we had was that back to then, everyone had to carry their phone and scan the code to enter a venue or to prove their immune status, right? And then we started worry about, okay, how our data get connected, and what if the central database get hacked? So what about my health data? Then one of my clients back then came to me and say that, Kafira, I think I might be able to do something about it. Do you think blockchain is the technology capability that we can resolve this problem? So that was the ask. But it turned out that we didn't use blockchain at all. Why? Because his question made me puzzled. Think about that. If it definitely is going to be a private blockchain, right? But when it comes to adoption and implementation, who is going to run the node and why? Why should everyone trust you as the natural central authority to run the node? Right? And who is going to go alongside with you to validate the blocks? So it requires a very, very complicated operating model, which was way too expensive for a solution. But I did see the issue that he was raising. Instead, and also that puzzle inspired me. Then what we did is that, okay, then what if that let's still using the distributed concept, but without a blockchain technology. Let's think about every individual is their own node, and they store and operate their own data. What we provide is just information exchange protocol and the encryption, which means if I run into you, Tim, and if you need to know that I am tested negative, I'm okay to shake hands with you, right?
Yeah.
You scan my QR code, but the data is in my device. However, you will see this person that you are going to shake hands with is in the good status for you to shake hands with. That's all you will get. But my data will never leave my possession. That was the solution.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much. So your educational background is quite diverse. How has this influenced your professional approach and commitment to innovation?
I like this question because this question is this is actually something that um, I I never took a lot of time to think, but now I think it's worth considering.
Mm.
Yes, I do have a very diversified education background, just for the benefit of the audience who didn't know that. Um, I My bachelor degree is English literature and
Ah,
linguistics.
yes, yes.
And then I had my master in pragmatic. It's also a branch of linguistic because my then interest was I was amazed by the power of language
Yeah,
and the power of pragmatic and how the language can actually convert and convey the messages we want to deliver.
sure.
And then I taught in the university for several years before I started becoming a consultant and running projects. I think that background, first, the literature and linguistic thing, I think um, it's always reminds me uh, the human elements because it's like the humanism behind that subject.
Of course, yes.
So, because I entered the technology kingdom as someone from a art background,
Yeah,
as a human, so I see technology. It's an amazing creature that
yeah,
done by humans and
uh,
will benefit to humans.
sure.
And I always have that hope. Uh, and that hope is what actually drive me. I think that we as humans, we should work collaboratively and use technology, embrace it, and make the world a better place.
Completely. Thank you so much. So, looking ahead, what trends do you believe will shape the future of financial services, and how should companies position themselves for these changes?
Tim, I think you asked a very important question because now as we see that in the financial service domain, there is no lack of innovation. But look past, understand the history, how we got there, and to predict the trends, how it's likely to be is very important, especially if we want to stay on top of the crest of this wave. So what I see in the past was that because it's a very new market and everyone is trying to be the first to the market, so it's very competitive.
Completely.
Everyone was competing at the speed. Recent years, what I observed is that people are competing smarter,
Yeah.
and besides competing the speed, they compete strategies. And one key strategy that I observed and I think is smart is that they tend to collaborate and they tend to look for the win-win in the ecosystem rather than just generally competing. So
Mm,
now we see a lot of innovative solution from day one. When they designed the solution, they had the mindset that yes, I need to make sure my interoperability, because only if that I am open for all possible existing and future integrators, I can become irreplaceable and carve my niche in the market, in the ecosystem. So yeah, and also they are ready in the day one to become one piece of the infrastructure of the ecosystem. That's also what I meant by interoperability.
sure.
So the trend that I see is that maybe we will see less and less centralized infrastructure.
Yeah.
But what we see is the scalable, super elastic, and ever evolving infrastructure that actually encompassed by each little piece of innovation, and they will change every day. That's what I see.
Thank you so much. Really, thank you for the interview today. Very insightful. I learned quite a lot. Definitely would like to do more with you in the future. So have a nice day, Kafira, and talk to you very soon.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.